market segment and also some size of project regarding your company, just briefly, and let our audience know about your segmentation. Yeah, is that okay? So maybe I invite Jonathan. Maybe you can share something. Yes.
I think in terms of the customer segmentation, we have quite a large range because, first of all, I give you some figures to have a sense on that. Basically, the project size will be from 2 million Hong Kong to maybe 100 million Hong Kong, something like that. But really depends the scope of the project. So I think basically the scale of the project. And the second, from Oracle perspective, we are not only offering one kind of the ERP solution. We also have different types of ERP solution within our enterprise to serve for different set. I'm not sure whether you heard about JDE everywhere before, right? PeopleSoft, something like that. And basically these are the ERP solution as well, target different industry and different segment. So basically this is the segmentation of the market. Anything?
Yeah, perhaps business model. Something. I think you also mentioned that, right? Business model.
Business model. Okay. Business model. I think in terms of the partnership or the right. Are you talking about this one? Okay. Oracle basically we are through the partnership model. That's why I think more than 10 years ago we are trying to acquire a company called HKUST, but later on we give up because we are trying to maintain the partnership model. We don't want to be the implementator for the ERP. That's why partner is the key success for the ERP. And of course, we put different key of the partner, like the Big Four, will basically serve for different responsibility within the ERP implementation. Some local partner, they have the expertise in the local perspective, and some industry partner, they will have some specific capability in industry, like the banking, like the retail, like the pharmaceutical, something like that. Right. So basically, it's a business model and also segmentation.
How about King? Yeah. How about your company?
I think we have two because Jonathan said like Oracle is kind of like software vendor, so they want to partner with local and implementers or resellers. OpenERP itself, the headquarters, they also use in a similar way. Other than that, they provide their own SaaS model, so the software as a service model. So then you can, if you go to openerp.com, you can also register account and you can right away start using OpenERP per user per month charge. And this one is the major business model that OpenERP itself, our headquarters want to do. And other than that, they also rely on the partners like us. So for us, for our company, we target in the first of all the solution segmentations. As I said before, when we just started, we do everything. No matter who comes to us, we try to think of a solution to them because we need to survive, right? And now we become more and more selective as well. Okay, we don't do all the projects that come to us. For example, if the project amount is too little, and all when we evaluate risk to do that project is too high, so we probably won't do that. And also for the business model, we have a lot of things. First of all, we have standard packages to sell. Like I said in the DIY ERP, we have the support packages for the companies they want to do the ERP by themselves. Okay, so we just provide an extra support to them. And other than that, of course, we do normal projects. Okay, from scratch. Okay, from the analysis, from configuration, installation, customization, training, support, maintenance, such like that. We also have third one is outsourcing service or subcontracting. Like the ZT is a very big company. It could be it should be Fortune 500. And what they ask for us is they want 5 of our developers, for example, to work with them directly. Okay, then we just charge per month basis. And in that case, we actually don't really take don't in charge of the project management, where they are a big team. Inside their company have a lot of people. And actually, but in the end, it's a little bit changing because they are themselves, they don't, as I said, there's a problem, they don't have internal experts in this software, in this system. So in the end, it now tends to, pass a lot more work to us, like the project management, functional analysis, a lot of things to us, because we seem to be more efficient than they do that by themselves. For us, we just service charge typically. So our business model is very simple. Okay, we just design different packages, different project scope. We work with people, so we have different levels of consultant fee, something like that. So it's quite simple. Segmentation, we focus on e-commerce. Okay, we focus on e-commerce. We also trying to do some smart warehouse. Okay, but smart warehouse, a lot of people actually looking for Oracle to do the smart warehouse, and probably they're looking for IBM as a consultant. And but some of the our company don't have a lot of money to hire these guys, so they probably will come to us. We also have some partners in this kind of warehouse system business, so we can also do something like that. And yeah, we do a lot of interesting new business typically. Okay, which they probably open up more flexible for them.
Thank you. So now I pass the chance to the audience. Any questions from you? Your expectation when you're in charge of the program?
When you start the program, study here.
EEM or?
Yeah.
Oh, so talking about my university life. Okay. To be honest, okay, before meeting Ronald, I don't know ERP. Okay, so Ronald is really one of my best mentors, in my life. So after talking with him, working with him, taught by him, so I think, ERP is such a nice thing, Why so many Chinese companies, they don't have this kind of thing. So I started to think about that one. Before, because I was in quality management. Okay, before this program, I was in quality management. I was in quality management, project management, and something like that. So I think, this program might be, I can learn a lot of skills, can be applied to my job. Yeah.
Great. Then back to me, Okay.
I have a question.
Yes. Darren.
Usually when we going to use the software inside a company, we always have a maintenance cost for each year. I would like to know about if for Oracle size or the Open ERP, how's the range about the maintenance cost for each year inside a company?
Let me set your expectation. It's not cheap, right? we are taking around 20% of the software price for the maintenance. I think you need to do so because during the implementation, in fact, the ERP system is a quite large software package. It probably have some bug or even an issue when you're using, but we cannot create exact cases in your environment. That's why you may probably come into some problem when using it. It doesn't mean the software is not good, but when you're using it in different way, you're hitting some problem. That's why we spend a lot of money at the back for the support. When you're facing some problem in this particular situation, we will have someone to help you to solve it. So that is the idea.
John, actually, the 20%, you mean 20% of license fee or 20% of project? Okay. Software license. So, do you know? do you want to know about ERP?
No. The thing is, how do the company earn when you say this software fee? How do the company earns?
Okay. So basically, I answer Darwin's question first. Our support meaning is different because first of all, Oracle, they're based on license, and we don't have license, so we cannot charge 20% of license. There's no foundation for that. So we charge the customer based on the evaluation. We expect the customer how much work they probably need in the first year, second year, third year. So we charge them pre-charged packages. For them, okay, I just, for example, you are a company, I think you probably in the first year need 30 days of the extra help. Okay, so I just charge you 30 days at the beginning. So if you don't, even you don't can you just you use them up, then just after a year you need to buy again, something like this. So for us, it's more. This is what I was talking about. It's more flexible. So if this customer turns to be their boss is super, like a Superman, he can do everything. So probably he just don't need us. It's all possible. You know, they can choose not to using us, right? So we are more into you know, service-oriented part. So doing that, right? How do we make money?
So how, if you're not licensing your software, so how can company be good?
Yeah, like even like in Oracle, I believe Oracle's partner. I think we are more like Oracle's partner. So we make money because we provide service. Because like now I talk with you, so I probably can charge you something like that. Like you talk to a doctor, right? You also need to pay them. But what they provide to you, you don't pay the medicine. Sometimes you don't have anything, right? They don't give you medicine. You still pay the money. So we just, you know.
Yeah, so it's service charge most of the time. And okay, now I raise a questions. It's regarding the trend of the ERP system and the architectures, because Jonathan and both Jonathan and King mentioned about the open architecture. So do you guys know the Google's Android, right? Right now, smartphone platform already changed. Most of the dominant OS is Google. So do you see any kind of trend on this? I mean the software architectures, like training to be more open source. Will open source take over or dominate bad from those closed architectures, closed software? But here also we invite Professor Lau to share his insight. Maybe he also observed some trend changes as well. Maybe Dr. Lau, there's.
Well, I'm not so sure I can share any insights because we have two industry practitioners here. They really understand the architecture and the technology. I mean, but maybe I can share, you know, from the user point of view, okay? So maybe try to tell them, you know, what we really expect to see. I mean, that's why I showed you a short video at the beginning. I think for ERP system to make an impact or create value for a company, I think most important thing is we have to improve on the user experience side. I mean, any one of you learn ERP, you know, there's a lot of complaint, right? I mean, none of us actually can escape that. By the way, Jonathan, we're using PeopleSoft product at HKUST, you know that, right? And the students complain every day. I mean, they don't really like the system, but I keep telling them, somehow, you get used to it, but okay, I mean, just like marriage, And people say, what's the secret of have a happy married life? I say, well, after a while, get used to it, everything's okay, right? But I mean, that may only work, for a while. We say, well, you get used to it, okay. But I mean, in the future, I mean, so on the short video I showed you earlier, I think that's what the user really expect, right? I mean, we instead of have a set menu, we have to memorize, how to navigate around. The system should be more intelligent, should be able to understand our question, and will be able to provide the answer to us on demand. So if you want to know something, maybe in the future, we just speak to the system, and then somehow system will say, is this what you want looking for? And then they will try to show us the solution. And then, I mean, we can at that point, obviously, the learning curve is nothing much at all. But that will require the open system architecture for sure, because we're going to pull in the information from a lot of sources. So we can't really count on one system to be able to do everything. So we talk about interface, between the web, on mobile phone, PDA, or other legacy system, different databases, Wow, that's why we need really an open system architecture. Okay, I mean, but the thing is, instead of answering the question you raised, actually I have another question is, do you see, in the near future, we will be able to really break through all these barriers, so we could jump from one system to another system, okay, like the short video, so earlier, we'll be able to pull in information from different systems. If we cannot do it in a short period of time or in the near future, so is it possible to have something like that happen maybe 10, 20 years later?
Actually, it's a very long question, right? I would like to put it in this way in 3 areas, right? The first one, open. What does it mean, open? We define open architecture is comply to industry standard, right? Adopted by most of the people in the world. Basically, Java is a standard. .NET is another standard. But we are not Microsoft. That's why we are not taking coding our system in .NET. But in fact, we coding and develop all our software in Java perspective. That's why you can put into the IBM machine, you can put into different, UI or even, a Google platform or the, Android. Because what we are talking about is M2M, like the mobile to mobile or peer-to-peer architecture. So I think that is the open perspective. And also when you look at the not only for the UI or the coding, also on the database perspective, we are SQL compliance, or even you can see a lot of industry standard we deploy in our solution, not by the proprietary stuff. Another thing from Professor Lau mentioned about the integration. Can something happen very seamlessly by the UI? I think there's two areas we need to investigate. The first one is the integration. When you look at the enterprise, just like the spaghetti, the system, like very large spaghetti putting on the table, you don't know how to integrate all this information each other from each system. So that's why I think in the past 5 to 8 years, what we're talking about is the enterprise integration. There are quite a lot of standard like the SOA. We're also talking about the business process integration. So basically, the architecture will be divided into 3 layers, like the data, process, and apps level, and also the UI integration. That's why you see a lot of websites, they have a different UI. We call the mashup user UI for correlating all this information together. So that is what we're talking about, the integration. Can it be happen in very near future? Yes, the answer is yes. That's why if you look at the new architecture from what I show you, like the information discovery, basically using this kind of new UI and integration architecture. For the user experience, all right, that's another topic. I can share one thing with you. When we develop our software, we have more than 100 of people at the headquarters. They are using a technology, what we call the eyeball tracking technology, to see how many times you look at the screen to identify the information you wanted, and how many clicks and steps you need to achieve your transaction. I think that is one of the KPI or measurement for you to improve the user experience. Not only the device side, you also need to consider the interaction side and the interface side, all these things. So again, the question is, can we have this in the future? Yes, because we also track into this direction. And you can see in our cloud solution, we have social media integration, we have the mobile device integration, all these things together, right? So this is standard and user experience, right? So, do I miss any question?
Yeah, this is, I think, being looked for by a lot of companies. I think, from my experience, at the beginning, a lot of small companies, not small companies, new companies, when they start up the company like within 10 years from now, they will more focus on this part of things. So you can see the website is for a lot of traditional companies, their websites also like the companies like 40, 30 years ago. But for a lot of new companies, maybe their companies not even making any money, but their website looks, so beautiful, right? So cutting edge, it's providing so many information, interactive things. So this must be a trend. Talking about user interface, the same. I think John just mentioned about the eye tracking things. when we launched the OpenMP v7, one of the selling point is also talking about, for example, when you finish a sales order, trying to enter a sales order, how many mouse traveling, in the screen. They also have measure, so they say, okay, you will have like 40% less movement than the previous version, and also like, I don't know, 70% less click on the mouse. And then they said you can like operate everything using keyboard, whatever. So they're all talking about the user experience. Okay, so this will be very important. And about the integration, it's the same. Like I show in the graphics, about one of our project. So previously they also talking about integration with so many discrete systems, trying to build bridges between each others. But in the end, they just cannot go through it. So if you're using a system which has a good open interface, open in Jonathan's view is industry standard. Of course, it is an industry standard. So that's why we have APIs. All right. Also, it's SOA. Okay. SOA maybe is more technical ways to say about the APIs, more like middleware. And for Open ERP, we have another meaning is that, like I said, about the open source concept. Okay, so everybody can start it for free. Okay, everybody can use this section of the code, for example, to integrate it into his own system, his own codings. So that's why in Open ERP, we also talk with the customer. Okay, you don't need to worry about the openness or the integrations, as long as the other software they are willing to accept data, and they are also willing to send data. Then for OpenERP, that is not a problem. But for us, we are all free, the free flow of the data going out and in. So a lot of times the problem is about the legacy system. Okay, they cannot even find a vendor of this system. So how can they send the data to you, right? So I think, but the trend is, every company, even closed source, they provide some kind of APIs, so they don't really close it. Don't let you to touch me. They still give you some certain level of the data disclosure or data communication with our system. So this is definitely, so APIs is nowadays also very popular. When I talk about system, a lot of people think, do you have an API? Do you have an API? About a lot of like a website, a web service, there's all another kind of APIs. So everybody talking about integration. So it's still better, for the company to have only one system rather than 10 different systems. It's also cost them a lot. I need to deal with 10 vendors. So one of them, if they go, say, how can I do? I just bring my business. So integration is also very important. So to adopt, to learn more skills about integration, also very important for you guys.
Thank you. So I will pass the ball to you again. So any questions? Any interesting questions you want to ask? Yes?
Yeah. I got a question to King Wang. You mentioned that mostly you provide just a service. That's also the product you earn money from. And if you provide service, but at the same time you sell the product. And your product is, in this case, it's the Open ERP as a software solution. And many times, you mentioned, or if you just look at the past, consider the past, most of the companies, they close their free versions. So they're gonna go for a charge. They're gonna charge the customer a monthly fee, a yearly fee. How do you think in the future? Could be the same way could be happen with Open ERP as well. How your customer gonna react to this situation, even to your service, because you have to switch to another product maybe, because your customer they can't consider this product as Open ERP anymore.
I think license fee has its reason, as I also showed. That's why, like Oracle, why do they charge license? Okay, it's not like they want to charge you a license. It's because they have other costs, happening in the back end. But I think in the long term, I know a lot of the big companies, they start to thinking about replacing the entire information system within a company using the open source applications. Not only talking about the ERP. For example, we have a customer. Well, it's not Fortune 500, but it's a big customer. They want to switch to Open Office from Microsoft Office, like in 3 years, with all the thousands of computers in the company. Okay, the reason is not, of course, one of the reasons is to save the cost about paying Microsoft each year. Another one is because the Open ERP, they provide a much better integration solutions than the Microsoft. So if they want to use other, for example, they start to change all their servers to Linux, not using Windows Server. And also the application installed inside, they were also starting to thinking, because they started, probably 10 years ago, open source gives a bad impression to a lot of commercial guys. They think open source is just, some people, they have fun, they make it for fun. But nowadays it's totally different. But you can see in a lot of big companies, they start to hire some people specializing in open source. But they started thinking, maybe using open source stuff, I can do much more. I don't have a limit. I don't have to go this way. Every company in this industry, they all go this way. So then in the end, everybody competing the low cost. But they think I can change a little bit of my business models or my operation, the way I operate, so I can differentiate from my competitors. So in that case, if everybody using SAP, then everybody almost follow the same rules. So I know how you operate. Because SAP asks you to do that, you have to do like that. But if you adopt another one, okay, so you have, if the management, they think, okay, I think that typically top management, they are very smart. That's why they can have a big company. So they can always have some new ideas to how to make my company different. So when they have this idea, if you're using SAP, it's very hard for you to implement it, but your system cannot change with you easily. So using OpenAI, they think, okay, well, today I have an idea. Maybe after 6 months, one of my team can already, implement my idea, into a system. So I can really have a test, in reality, rather than stick to my previous plan and cannot. But we also have a lot of customers that come to us because they want to change something, and they were using SAP. And SAP, either they say, oh, sorry, we cannot do that, or they charge you, very, unreasonably high price. So which means they don't want to do that. Okay, anyway. So but they also, again, the risk. SAP, they don't want to take this risk for new stuff. Okay, so I can feel that a lot of companies, they start to think about open source applications rather than the commercial ones that are out there in the world.
Thank you. Then I have another question, more controversial. I mean, it's kind of trend, but people say like ERP is kind of a double-edged sword. That means you cannot handle it well, then you will hurt yourself. Hurt your company as well. You want to implement and make this messy. So want to see Professor Lau, what do you see? Is this very common question in your mind? And how the another panelists will respond to this kind of question?
Well, for those of you, took my class before, I always try to talk about ERP and the company, the relationship, just like a marriage. So if it works, it's wonderful. You have synergy, 1 + 1 more than 2. You have a lot of children, that means, right? If it doesn't work, well, yeah, you spend a lot of money, a lot of headache. Okay, I think that's something, people has to expect to happen. I think now, from talking to a lot of people, I think ERP has been working quite well for a lot of companies nowadays. It's not like in the old days, it's so difficult to even navigate the system. I think nowadays, even though we say we need to raise the expectation on the user experience, but user experience, to be honest, has improved a lot for the last 10 years or so already. Yeah, if some company, find, they can get a lot of synergy from using the system. I think it's not because the system now is an integrated system and can process the information. I think more important is now they begin to realize the value of the system is by generating more meaningful information to help them to make decisions on the timely basis. When companies can move over to that area, focus more on how to use a system for decision making, they will really find the synergy, find the value from using the system. If they don't, they get stuck with a system, basically very costly to run and maintain, and didn't really add much value.
What do you think about it, Jonathan?
Very rich, right?
Not really, not really.
Well, as I said that ERP is not just a software. I think it's a whole change management concept there. Alright, so you need to have a right expectation, right priority, and the right people to do the things. Otherwise, you will come into a very big problem on the whole implementation cycle. Well, I think I will summarize some of the key issues when you're implementing the ERP, right? Most of them is an overrun project. This is the first, I think, is a top key issue for ERP. And the second is the training and enablement for the staff, the resources side, the people. They don't understand how to use it. They don't understand the rationale behind to do that. Then make the whole thing very difficult to move on. And lastly is I think the top management support. And maybe they quite supportive at the beginning, but maybe off the track later on. So I think make the people very frustrated along the cycle. So as I said that, it's not just a software can do everything. It's just like marriage. You make sure the people, when you see a girlfriend or boyfriend very handsome or very charming, beautiful, it doesn't mean his personality is very cool, right? You need to get to know each other, well understand, spend time, pay your effort, and then you get the result, have your baby. I think that is the thing, right?
Almost as a free baby. Yeah. I think generally we all in this industry we all share the same problems. When you're doing a project, it's always like that, all around the budget. There are internal problems in the company's clients' internal problems. There are sometimes there are internal politics. Some of the management, they prefer this software, but in the end, the decision goes to the other side. So a lot of times they probably will not cooperate as you can expect, right? Because we actually have a lot of these things. Because as I said, Open ERP is not an easy decision for management or for a decision maker. When they make decision to adopt Open ERP, they actually bear a lot of the responsibilities by themselves. So a lot of times we can feel, for example, like in China, a lot of things. For example, the CFO always want to use King D, okay, because King D is like a god of accounting in China. So once that they only know how to use King D, okay, K3, okay, we're talking about K3. But then all the operation guys they don't want, because in order to cater King D, all the other guys need to spend much more time, because King D from our point of view, it's just like accounting software. Okay, it's not really help you a lot in the operation. Actually, it's all doing the opposite way. All right. So then the operation part, the operation manager, they think, oh no, I don't want to use that. Or you can keep that, but I want another ERP to do my things. So they choose SAP or choose Open ERP. It doesn't matter. Okay. Once these things happen, then in the client side, you will have a lot of arguments internally. Okay, which will cause a lot of problems in the implementation of the ERP. Okay, and also training is hard because you cannot expect everybody has the very high education level, has a very good knowledge background, understanding why I need to do that. If they just write on paper, probably they just write down some numbers. That's it. Okay, I've done my job. But if they do in the system, they probably need to pay attention to a lot like dates, time, quantity, a lot for destination, whatever. A lot of things, a lot of new fields they need to fill in, but they don't know why I need to fill in that. Okay, so this caused a lot of the resistance in the users, to accept the ERP system, especially in China. The management concept is still quite low, and the the people in the inside the company, their education is quite frustrating. The level is really not stable. You cannot expect to spend the same amount of time to train each body.
Okay, thank you. Due to the time constraint, any questions from the audience again? If no, I will make a short conclusions and during the presentation and also the panel discussion, I think you probably have more idea about the ERP system and implementation and also the challenge and concern around these solutions. And so far, I think we also will need to know more about like the cost. I mean the traditional ERP and also the open source platform that you have more choice in your futures. So once again, I want to thank Professor Lau, Jonathan, and King to participate in the panel sessions. And I will pass the time to Claudia for the following sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wang, for leading the discussion panel. And now we would like to present a small souvenir to Professor Lau by Ms. Wang to show our gratitude. Ms. Wang and Professor Lau, please.
I don't know.
But actually, this was a great session. Thank you for organizing it.
Thank you. Professor, we would like to invite you for the final closing speech of the seminar.
1 minute to be honest.
Yeah.
Time's up anyway. Yeah, I think this has been a very fruitful discussion. I don't know about you. I myself also, I got a lot of insights. Okay, so I always keep reminding myself, to teach, I have to first learn, right? So this is a very good opportunity for me to keep up with what's going on in the industry. My final remarks will be, ERP, enterprise resource planning. In the past, the most criticism is about planning, because ERP doesn't really do any planning. Okay, most companies use ERP to process transaction. Okay, but I can see, because the computing, all these hardware, software getting so much better nowadays, we are getting closer and closer to planning. And I expect the system will continue to be more intelligent. Okay, sometimes can even make decisions for us, okay, without us, really getting involved, because a lot of things can be automated. The data capturing, for sure, can be automated. So we can free up, the human, to make important decisions.